Chewing the fat and talking hotel tech. It's time for Two Smart Fellas.
Me and Skype, telling you. One hit wonder.
Fabian.
What's up, though?
Good evening, because it's Singapore, 7:34 p.m.
It is.
And I was so confused this morning because 7 a.m. UK time is our normal kickoff. And that works very well for me. But it's 11:30 UK, 7:30 Singapore, because we have a special guest this week.
Oh, yeah.
And he's in New York.
Oh, yeah.
So it's 6:30 a.m. in New York time. And Neil says, Fabian, you had some afternoon drinks already. Well, it's evening.
Oh, no.
It's 7:30, so Fabian's absolutely in that time of day. But we have a very special guest this week.
Oh, yeah.
And he's your mate, right?
We're going to trump it up a little bit. Mr. No Vacancy, Glenn Haussman. Woo-hoo.
So how do you know him?
We know him from Logic. So he did some consultancy work for us.
Do you say Logic or Lodge IQ?
Logic.
Okay. Everyone tells me Lodge IQ, but anyway.
Yeah, no, but no, okay. Lodge IQ, when they say Lodge IQ, it's actually good because then you just turn around and say, no, it's Logic.
That's
and you can have
right. Yeah, that's
brand
so
recognition,
it
right?
works both ways. Take your pick.
Yeah. But the people who say Logic IQ, they are confused. Because then I asked them, okay, can you please write that down for me? Just write down what you just said.
It's like I'm looking for a property management system like PMS, duplicating.
Yeah, let me go to the ATM. No, what did they say at the ATM again?
Oh, the ATM machine.
ATM machine. I need to go to the ATM machine. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
can I just say, Niels and Clinton, you are our first live people.
Well, yes. Clinton and Niels have definitely subscribed and they're live. And there's a few more, actually. There's also...
there's Tom. Hello, Tom.
Tom, I think, is from Dorchester. And then we have a couple more gentlemen as well. One from MG Group in Indonesia and one from the Minor Hotel Group.
Oh, yeah.
So happy to be a first. Yes, absolutely. Niels, it's an honor and a pleasure for you to join us because it is live, but a lot of people watch it on catch up.
Yes.
Which is how I like to. I mean, I'm a avid podcast watcher, audience member, and sometimes it's live. Other times it's definitely catch up. So, we have a very special guest, Glenn Haussman, live from New York City. He's going to drop the kids off at the school bus.
Yeah. First the kids are off the bus, and then he's coming, eh?
Yeah, which is good. We've got some stuff to do or start with before Glenn joins us. But Glenn, well, how do you describe Glenn? Glenn is a celebrity, a rock star. He's the host of the No Vacancy podcast. What else can you tell us about Glenn? He's your mate, Fabian. Can you tell us?
Glenn was recently named in the New York Times as one of the travel industry influencers in the US, which is quite nice. Through one of his podcasts. So I think there's about 15 to 20,000 people listening to his podcast every week. Mm-hmm. Well, he doesn't know how long they actually listen to because he can only figure it out how to know if they watch or not. So I can hear from Niels that he's generally skipping the first 10 minutes. So thank you very much for joining for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good. It's a good part to skip.
It's called the banter part.
Yeah, I'm moving out of this light. Would you believe I'm in Manchester today? That there's almost too much sunlight. Sorry, but do you see me?
Yeah, beautiful as always.
Do you see my?
Oh,
you see my jumper?
Yeah. By the way, if you hear kids screaming in the background, then that's mine.
Of course, that's good. It's real world. Now, aren't you going to ask me why am I wearing this?
It's Christmas time, no?
Well, yes, but this morning, 6:15. I walked out the front door and I saw it's usually drizzly. So I put my hoodie on. I'm walking to the local gym and it didn't feel like rain. Actually, it was nice, soft little snowflakes. It snowed.
Nice.
Morning. And of course, that's very normal for you. It's unusual for me as an Aussie. So I'm very, very, very Christmassy. We played Christmas songs at breakfast this morning, the whole family. And so I'm wearing this because it's beginning to feel, or what is it? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And so anyway.
As I said to you, the man of today makes Christmas cookies, not just eat them.
Yeah, no, I'm not good in that area at all. Only because my wife is really, really good at baking and cooking in general, but particularly baking. So why would I even bother? I'd gladly eat them, even though I don't really have a sweet tooth. But Fabian, tell me, you were in Firenze, also known as Florence, last week.
Yep.
Now you're back in Singapore.
Yep.
How's the, what do you call it? Jet lag? Have you adapted, adjusted?
Considering, like, listen, I flew out at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, arrived literally at the hotel about 6 p.m. the next day. Did the conference, or went out for dinner with some clients and some resellers. Hit the sack, got up, did the conference, did the same dinner thing again, went to bed, had the same thing. Next morning, went back to Singapore. So I didn't even have a chance to get the jet lag. It was literally like constantly tired for 72 hours. And now back right into it. And when I arrived, it was literally, here are the kids, let's do it. And so I looked after the kids then.
Exactly. Life doesn't pause. The inbox doesn't pause. But
no, absolutely.
I always find it much easier going from, let's say, Australia, traveling west. So from Singapore, traveling west up towards Europe, much easier.
Yeah.
Then now I'm based in Europe, or UK, and going down towards Asia.
It's tough.
That's brutal.
It depends which flights you have. You have to have the flight that arrives here in the afternoon. Then you help yourself until around 10, 11, and then you can wake up in the morning. If you have the early flight in, forget it today.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Now, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about, well, the prime topic is digital storytelling. So hence Glenn joining us in there, because he's a storytelling connoisseur, professional podcaster, the Uber podcaster. But we've also got to focus on local and glocal terms as they refer to hotel technology. And so I'm going to start with which distribution channel is best for my hotel, because this is stuff that I've been working on or looking at or involved in since 2008. So I don't know if you knew this, but 2008, I was working with a partner of Easy Yield. Did you know that?
No.
Down in Sydney. So I'm an OG, old school Easy Yield guy. So Ed St. Ange and Chris Koudnaris, who was...
That was before Ideas Time, yeah?
Yeah, 2008. Ideas was 2010. So back then was where I kind of, I consider it my distribution school. That's where I learned online distribution. And of course, SiteMinder, 2012. And with Vertical Booking Today, CRS. So let's just say I know a little bit about online distribution. And the question comes up all the time, which channel should we work with? And so that's why I'll be very happy to share. But then you're doing news and you're doing startups.
Yeah, news and startups. And what I wanted to say is, for anybody who has been listening to previous one or watched them previously, normally Eric and I kind of have conversations beforehand of what we talk about. So literally this week, I have no idea what he's going to show, and he has no idea what I'm going to show. So we thought that might be a bit more interesting to bring that concept alive. No idea what's going to happen.
Yes, otherwise known as the Battle of the PowerPoints.
Pow!
And you've just done a little thing there with your mobile phone. I know you've already won this week's PowerPoint battle, because you've done something there which is next level stuff, which I love. And I need to step up my game. But
hey, you're winning in the destination game.
Yes, exactly. So this is episode 4. So episode 1, you were in Singapore, I was in London. Episode 2, you were in Singapore, I was in Dublin. Episode 3, last week, you were in Florence. I was in
Manchester.
Manchester.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in Manchester today, and you are in Singapore.
So 3-2.
3-2. Yes.
Where are you next week?
Next week, I'm in London for the whole week. So I'm in London. And where are you?
Singapore.
Okay. And of course, the main topic of today's discussion will be digital storytelling for hotels, and Glenn will be joining us in about half an hour or so. So we've got stuff to do before then. Shall we kick off, or do you want to? Okay,
go for it.
Okay, so.
Ooh,
Now,
like it.
There's a lot of distribution channels, a plethora, a myriad. It's a jungle out there, Fabian. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how hoteliers keep from going under. Ha 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 ha. Are you an old school hip hop guy? Like, did you see what I did there?
Yeah, I went. I grew up with. I wanted to say New Kids on the Blocks. No way.
That's okay. Whatever floats your boat, mate.
What were the very first ones? Well, Cypress Hill was definitely, but I'm talking about the ones before, and the
Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Yeah,
DJ Cool Herc.
Ice-T, Ice Cube. That was more my time.
Yeah,
Ice-T, Ice Cube.
Me too. Public Enemy, LL Cool J.
Public Enemy, yeah.
Good. So, again, having spoken and consulted and advised hotels on which channels that I use, and it's something that I know, I thought, let's use these metaphors. Now, Fabian, which of those creatures, with those animals, do you identify with? This is not a trick question, by the way.
The one with the dots.
The cheetah, yeah.
Yeah, cheetah.
Me, the cheetah and a hybrid. I'm a hybrid cheetah and owl. But have you ever heard the expression spirit animal?
Yes.
What I'm asking you, what is your spirit animal?
I have no clue. I know that from My Little Pony, because my daughter watches My Little Pony, and I know that Rainbow Dash has a turtle.
I don't even know what that is. I've heard of My Little Pony, but
no idea who is my spirit.
Okay, so obviously I was planning to ask you that, so I had a chance to think about my spirit animal, and so I think my spirit animal is it's definitely a bird, but my first thing was eagle, but then I thought a condor. But then I thought, no, a falcon. So I'm an eagle, condor, falcon mix of a bird.
I thought that the spirit animal is given to you, not choosing it.
Yeah, maybe this time I'm choosing it. I think it's like you shouldn't choose your nickname; it should be given to you, right? So can you give me that? You make those my spirit animals. Can you?
Okay, the falcon. Yeah, you're gonna be the. So you're a bit like Harrison Ford then.
In what way?
He's flying the Falcon, no?
Oh, in Star Wars, yeah. Millennium Falcon. Okay, so many different distribution channels, so many different types of hotels, so many different types of guests and consumers. So I've segmented all the different distribution channels into these animal categories. So the wise owl, the fast cheetah, the pink flamingo, the big 800-pound gorilla, and the little squirrel. So let's start with the big gorilla. And this is something that's, standard, common knowledge, Booking.com, Expedia 1 and 2, globally in online distribution by a long way. And then next level down, you can see HRS, Agoda, Goibibo.
What is Goibibo?
I was going to ask you, are any of those brands new for you? And so Goibibo from India acquired a company called Make My Trip. And
okay.
They are the 800-pound gorilla in the Indian hotel market.
Yeah, no, I know Make My Trip was generally the gorilla.
Yes.
I'm missing Traveloka here, considering they got a 380 million injection from Expedia.
They're definitely
Rakuten.
Yes.
Rakuten is Japan.
Yeah. Rakuten.
I saw Rakuten, yeah. I saw C-Trip move to Trip.com. Yeah.
Yes. And so Rakuten I describe as the Amazon of Japan, online e-commerce retailer. And yeah, Ctrip now rebranded as Trip.com. And you mentioned Ctrip last week in your pricing complexities discussion.
Yeah.
And I look at Google hotel price ads every day in my day job. And I've noticed Trip.com are right in there bidding for bookings. Obviously, Booking and Expedia brands are always there. And they're obviously a giant in China. They're going to become a giant very, very soon globally. Hence the rebranding from Ctrip to Trip.com. So have you worked with any of these brands before?
Yeah, pretty much with all of them.
Yeah.
Except I worked with Make My Trip, not Goibibo.
Oh, yeah, okay. And HRS, obviously the big dominant German.
Yeah, HRS in Germany was always in the beginning, they were very dominant and literally just told hotels what to do and how to do it. I think they laid off a little bit on that one.
Okay. I know that they're pivoting a lot more towards corporate travel because they do that very, very well. And so, but there's nothing too much to talk about here other than these are the big giants globally and also regionally. And yes, you're right. Traveloka in Southeast Asia. If we're talking about Brazil, CVC and Trend are big in Brazil. But I don't want to spend too much time on this slide because it's kind of obvious, right?
Yeah, go.
So now, what would the wise old owl be doing? So my recommendation and my categorization of a distribution channel, even though, of course, it's a marketing channel. So let's not get tied up between it's not a distribution channel, it's marketing. Let's just keep it simple and real, is meta search. We spoke about meta search, I think episode 2, for the small hoteliers focus, where they, the small hoteliers were asking us, how do we get visibility and who can help us? So I'm now I'm very, very bullish about meta. And any hotelier listening in now live or on YouTube, just get onto Meta in terms of at least trialing it.
Oh, yeah.
Because as we also spoke about in the previous episode, people just go to Google. Or in the US, Kayak has a very strong brand reputation. Yep. And I've had these conversations with colleagues. Alex Barros, my ex-colleague from SiteMinder, from Brazil. He's a Brazilian, now living in London. But he used to always just go to Kayak automatically. I think he worked in the US a little bit. Whereas I now go to Skyscanner. I'm in the UK for all my flights. What do you use for flights, Fabian? For flights, what do you use to find your flights?
So I go on Zuji. ZUJI, it's a meta from down here.
Okay.
Hipmunk is a good one. I used Hipmunk, but they became a bit annoying. But here's one that I really love, which is called Wego, WEGO.
Yeah. Niels uses Hipmunk as well. He's just mentioned, and totally know about the Vinod thing. But thanks for pointing that out.
The Wego one is, if you have to go low cost, it's perfect because it will allow you to separate your tickets into an Air Asia, into a Ryanair, and combines it, and that's super cool. Okay. But once I generally go back to the website and book direct with them just because of points.
That's exactly what I
and
used
anything
to do.
else.
Yeah, I did exactly the same thing when I was in Sydney. I used Webjet. It was only 2 airlines for choice, but it made it easy. But then I would always book directly on the airline. Lately, though, I use Ryanair quite a lot because it's nice and effective.
And I took it out. I had the news thing for you about the chief marketing officer from Ryanair talking about the future, and I was like, "Nah, I don't bring airlines into our conversation."
They want to be the Amazon of travel.
They want to be everything, right?
So that So no, I think the simple message for hoteliers today is go to your PMS, tell them you want to be on Trivago or Google or Meta. If they say they can't, then you ask them why not, or go to your booking engine provider. So we want to be on Meta. Again, if they say you can't, if not, then why not? And if you have a CRS, of course, I think all CRSs
pretty much
provide meta search, either consulting services or technology. So for me, you see the brand there, Momondo?
Yes.
Have you heard of Momondo?
I heard of them, yes.
They're Scandinavian Nordic brand, very strong there, which were acquired by Priceline Group, which we can say Kayak, absorbing the Momondo brand. I think keeping the brand, but definitely. I mean, these are marketplaces. These are, if you look at Trivago's strategy, clearly, Trivago is and wants to maintain the position where people just go to Trivago, rather than I just go to Google. Let's go to Trivago, and they're investing heavily to support that. I'm just pausing because we've got questions here. Neil says he uses Hipmunk, and he said, I was sitting behind a selfie taken by Michael O'Leary on a BA flight, enjoying his business class experience. So, okay, cool. Thanks, Niels.
I can't believe Niels flies business class.
Well, he's now with Infor, so, easy RMS, big ERP player. Yeah, no. We keep it real. Ryanair, EasyJet.
We still got to go cattle class.
He says he's economy.
Yeah.
So Michael must have been in the very last row.
In the last row, and he was at the first row, yeah.
Yeah, and Niels is doing one of these ones.
Yeah.
Hey, what happened here?
Photo bumping, yeah.
What happened to my screen?
Oh.
Okay, fine. Okay, so let's go on. What's the next animal? The pink flamingo. I'm not going to answer that chat because I just want to get on with this program. Okay, I'll answer that chat in a second. So, Fabian, what am I doing here with this pink flamingo? Can you see the method in my madness?
Yeah, you got niche players, yeah?
Exactly. So you've got niche hotels. You have niche channels for niche hotels. And we have different types of guests who like curated experiences, or they like to be offered inspiration or incentives to travel. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith.com, I'm a big fan. Invitation only. So if you're not up to their criteria, you'd maybe be politely declined. But Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a curated collection, invitation only of hotels. Now, invitation only. But do you
use them, or you just invite?
No. You if you wanted to distribute by Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I guess they would do some kind of.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Now, Hotel Tonight, I do use Hotel Tonight, and one of our audio listeners to the podcast, Arnoud Groen from Amsterdam. You know Arnoud.
Mm-hmm.
He's still hardcore on the mobile app for Hotel Tonight, and I still do use it as well. Did you ever use it?
Seriously?
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
We had Hotel Quickly down here, and then within a week, Booking.com brought out their own one.
Yeah, they call it Booking Now, right?
Yeah, and it was kind of, I don't know. There was nothing super special at that point in time. And now I generally don't fly into the city because Southeast Asia, you don't drive into the next city. You kind of have to fly there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to fly into the city just to find out like, hey, can I get a bed or not?
Yeah. No, I love Hotel Tonight because, well, their original strategy, they also selected the properties that they were going to onboard in New York, London, Boston, LA, Miami, all the cool places, right? But what they did, which I thought was very, very genius.
Good point, Clinton. Throw that in there.
What did he say? I didn't see it.
He said, I kicked them out a few months back, insisting on discounts to sell inventory. People aren't pricing right, in my opinion.
For Hotel Tonight?
Yeah, similar thing. We had Hotel Quickly, and it was literally like, oh, yeah, you got to do this one, that. And I was like, mate, sorry, but why do I have to do this kind of stuff? Like, if they're 500 meters from my hotel,
yes,
it's kind of like they can see my front.
Yeah, Clinton's right. Clinton's absolutely correct. But remember, I'm the guest now, right? I'm the guest. So I love Hotel Tonight. And even if I'm already in London or wherever I am, I've already got my accommodation sorted out. Maybe I'm at a conference. I open it up to see, let's say I know London's full, right? Nothing under £250 a night, for example, which is quite often, right? I open up Hotel Tonight to see what hotels are near me and what their rates are, because then I know who is dropping their pants or who didn't price correctly. It's just my little report card on the London hotel market. Do you know what I mean? So I get good prices because there's so many properties that still don't price correctly, even in a great market like London.
I'll show you something later. I booked for tonight, and I get offered prepaid rates. Like I don't understand it. We look at market demand, right? And when you see what the people in New York do, I literally want to slap 90% of the hotel market. Oh, it's like 3 days prior. It's kind of like this,
drop.
But it's literally occupancy going up, and then 3 days prior, everybody goes like, crikey. And I'm not talking like 290 to 280. No, I'm talking 290 to 180. Yes. And it's literally then but 4 days prior, 5 days prior, they whack it up to $500. And you kind of go like, people, what is wrong with you? Either you don't sell your room types properly, or you just don't look at your distribution properly, or you're going to be full. Like, it's like London on a Tuesday night. If you can't fill, in principle, in the city center, what are you doing? And
then Neil adds in, and then the hotels complain that it's impossible to forecast. Yeah, absolutely right.
Thank you.
Absolutely right. Short-term targets. Yeah, Neil's bang on.
But you know the worst? Do you know what the worst with this is?
No.
And I remember when I looked after, and Clinton will back me up on that. We worked together at that point in time. I literally had a GM 3 days prior telling me, oh, Fabian, we got to drop our prices, otherwise we're not going to fill. And I was like, no, keep your prices and we're still going to fill. And he was like, no. And he would then dump the prices and we would fill. And it was a self-fulfilling prophecy for him to say, you see, Fabian, I dropped the prices, hence we filled. And you kind of go like, I can't win. I literally
and you're
can't
educating,
win.
Exactly. You're educating the consumer. If I wait, New York, hotels will drop the price, you know. Yeah, exactly. And even, New York and London, these are key destinations, strong demand. You'd think that have, learnt now better revenue management practices, but no, still. So, okay, let's go. Chic Retreats, very cool brand that I know quite well. Travelbird. Have you heard of Travelbird before?
No.
I like that there's a little animal involved because this is an animalistic theme. Travelbird is very good for weekend escapes here in Europe. Benelux.
Okay, cool.
France. People go looking for
work in Belgium, all that area.
Yes, exactly. Now, Voyage Privé and Jet Setter. Now, Voyage Privé, I actually do subscribe to Voyage Privé. I'll show you an example in a second. Can you answer those chat questions, Fabian? Travel Book Group, interesting brand. They're a hybrid between a brand and also full tech services. So they do a lot in Middle East, East Africa, South Africa, Levant region, and also now in UK. They do full tech services. So they not only help distribute across GDS and other channels, they've got a special deal with Booking and Expedia for lower commissions, and they pass those lower commissions onto the hotels. Anyway,
nice.
Splendia, Prestigia, Secret Escapes, I really like.
They have to be bought by Accor, no?
Who?
Well, who wasn't there? Who weren't they acquired by somebody?
Secret Escapes. If they were, I missed it. But I met the founder a few years ago. They do professional, journalistic, unbiased reviews. They go to the property, really study it, do a proper portrayal of the property as part of their model. So it's very, very cool. And then, of course, there are always channels out there. For example, if you have a spa hotel, there are more and more niche players. But I mentioned to you before that I do subscribe to Voyage Privé.
I was on Voyage Privé, but they also do other stuff. No, they also do closing and stuff, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Jet Setter do. I'm not sure about Voyage Privé because I get my email each morning. So let's just come out of here.
It might be a different one. I signed up to something like a Voyage Privé, and what it essentially did is it sent you an email and said, okay, log in the next 10 hours and you can buy XYZ for 60% off or something.
Okay. Can you see my email?
Yeah, oh la la.
So each morning, Anna sends me an email. Usually,
hi, Anna.
usually early. And this is what essentially they're offering subscribers. So they've got a lot of French content, but look at what's the call to action here? Deep discount, chic, delightful hotel in a chic location. Lots of the word chic here. Family in the Alps.
Good.
A lovely hotel in the 10th arrondissement. What else? And so you can see here, it's like I guess like Travelzoo, which I'll talk about a little bit later on.
Oh yeah.
And so there's obviously a market for people who do like a deal, a bargain, but also maybe like the finer things in life. So where's that? Maldives, UK, Portugal. I've never been to the Algarve myself. Have you been?
Nope.
No. London, wow, 72% off.
Wow.
Check
go for it.
Prague, Kenya. So anyway, you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
So let me go back to my deck. Let me do that. So now, what's the next animal? The squirrel. Why did I choose squirrel for these guys, do you think?
They're still nibbling their own nuts? Oh, I don't know.
Still holding
offline.
away.
Yeah, it's still there's still a lot of inventory that you can put out there, right?
So give me static rates, block them out for the winter or the whole year or whatever, and then I'll eat that or sell that or resell it. So, even
but they're changing, mate. They all have internal targets to move to dynamic because it makes them more money, right?
Yes, exactly. So GTA, I know quite well, and they moved to dynamic pricing and LRA probably at least 3 years ago. And I saw amazing results. I remember a property in Dublin who works with Booking Expedia, blah, 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 switched on GTA Dynamic. And in the second month, they actually got more volume, more bookings than Booking.com. So there is still, this is 3 years ago, but there is still huge amounts of business being done offline. So don't look at your wholesalers as necessarily old school, old world, only static. They're evolving. They have to evolve. Yeah.
I mean, Hotelbed bought GTA and Turica, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now, our favorite, the cheetah. So I mentioned Travelzoo earlier, so let's just start there. Have you ever used Travelzoo?
We did something in the UK with IHG, and it only worked in the big destinations. The moment you go second tier and third tier city, it was completely washed down. Okay. I thought they went bust because I don't get any Wednesday emails anymore. It kind of is on and over.
Well, I think they've gone through different. One brother or the other brother took over the business, but no, I used to use them. Subscribe when I was in Sydney a lot.
Yeah, the top 20, right? Every Wednesday, 11 o'clock or something. Yeah.
Exactly. And then we actually booked a stay once. It was a really good deal. It was Noosa. And so for people who aren't familiar with Noosa.
Bali.
No, not Nusa Dua. Noosa on the Sunshine Coast of Australia. Noosa Beach.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful part of the world. Very, very popular with Melbourne socialites getting away for the weekend, and Sydney people as well. 45 minutes drive from Brisbane, I think. Anyway, there was this deal. It was a Mirvac property, I remember. It was a great deal. You're not only up the hill, not too far away from the beach. Anyway, great deal. Check with Ash. Yes, we booked it, and it was fantastic. And then closer to the date, I went to the website, and they were doing renovations and constructions on the pool. So but you know what? We still loved it because we didn't go to that hotel for their pool. You're on Noosa Beach, so it was still great. But obviously, that made me realize, if you've got renovations happening or whatever's going on, then put low deals on Travelzoo. It's opaque. Obviously, it's offline. I think back then they had 20 million subscribers for their deal, top 20 deal newsletter. I still think they're going strong. Now, Fast Pay Hotels. Have you heard of them?
Nope.
They're pretty new.
I know the the bunny rings a bell from an icon perspective, but I don't know the name now.
Okay, yeah, I love all these animals that are involved. Fast Pay, you're basically very, very new OTA, growing very fast here in Europe. And it's basically prepaying your room. So you just distribute it like an OTA, but that's only prepaid. None of this credit card, no-show.
Okay.
Particularly for French properties, WeBusiness is very good for B2B. So obviously, GDS is a major channel for corporate business. But in France, WeBusiness and also CDS Group are very, very strong. But I want to now zoom in on these guys, Smartbox. And let me preface what I'm about to say with, me personally, I'm not an online consumer for retail. I don't do it. Like I think I have an Amazon account. I just never use it. Do you, Fabian? Do you?
Oh yeah, I use if I need to buy nitty little things like handlebars for the bikes, right? And my wife just says like, "Oh, we need handlebars for the bikes," and it's like $10 things that you need to buy. Then I quickly go on, find it, book it, wang it over, and done. Right?
Yeah. So my wife is all into online retail, and it's great. When we moved back from Sydney to here 5 years ago, she was like, "Eric, I can't believe it's so good to be back. It's so much better here. The online e-commerce infrastructure," and she's right. I mean, it's great. Like the tech is great. I think UK in particular, and let's say Europe.
Food shopping we do a lot online.
Yes, we do now with Tesco. What do they call? Freshly clicked. So we get our food delivered. But I don't do it personally. So with that in mind, you mentioned handlebars for the bikes. I just walked down the road, which is like 8 minutes that way, the local corner bike store. I know the guy. Wave to him on the weekend as I walk past, and I'll buy my handlebars there. But I'm old school that way.
It's like I go down the road here. It's like literally a 5-minute walk. It's $38. I get the same one online for $15.
It's worth doing.
So it's and they deliver it for free. So why bother? It's
true. So Smartbox, I'd never heard of Smartbox before.
No idea.
I met them recently, but they are a gift experience e-commerce platform. And bearing in mind that today's main topic will be digital storytelling for hotels, I really wanted to focus on Smartbox because I think they're amazing in terms of the potential for hotels. They're only in Europe, nothing in Asia Pac or Americas yet, but in Europe they're quite strong. And I've got a little video to share. So I'm upping the tech game here, but I think you're still going to beat me with this mobile. So just 3 minutes, but please listen in. Firstly, if you can't hear, just tell me, but hopefully it works.
Smartbox Group is all about the gift you live. Smartbox sells experience gifts, and so everybody needs to give gifts throughout the year, whether it be Christmas, birthdays, or other special occasions. And what we offer is the gift of an experience, the gift of actually doing something, the gift of a moment in time. What is an experience gift? Because first of all, it's a gift. So you can buy this in a few thousands of stores across Europe. This is a box. You have a physical box, but you have also e-boxes online. And in this box, you have the description of an experience. What makes it really great is it's a gift, it's emotion, it's something which is really for the fun and the pleasure of others, which you can imagine if you buy a material thing, a gift, like let's say a phone or a perfume or whatever, in time it will depreciate. Well, a gift, like an experience gift, will become a memory. A memory is something that will always have value, or even in time will be a greater value than this when you bought it. So in fact, we're providing fantastic stories, fantastic memories.
We are not selling a product that you will put in your lounge
and admire, like a nice statue or anything like that. We are selling a moment of life. It's the ability to allow someone to offer an experience to one of their friends or family versus offering a material gift. An experience being a weekend getaway, and dinner for two in a restaurant, a spa, adrenaline activities such as driving a Ferrari, jumping out of a plane. When you look back on the year, the last year of your life, actually, you don't remember the tangible things, you remember the experiences you've done. So I think from my perspective, the reason we went into this business in the first place and we chose this route in the first place was because it's the experiences that are the things that you remember and that are the kind of highlights of life. And that's what we sell, really. We sell the opportunity for people to gift each other time and experiences. We want to care about the relationship between people and between me and my friends, between me and my family. And the idea to offer a moment to live that makes sense today. What I like about the product is it's not a product. You are selling an experience. You are selling something which is like memories or wonderful things to live, which is not a product. So it's much more than a product. This is what is very interesting for me. Part of the success of Smartbox is the fact that the world has changed to less of a materialistic world to more of an experiential world. As today, it's all about I am what I do, not I am what I own.
But that's so old school, mate.
Sorry?
That's so old school. I remember when I lived in the UK 8 years ago, I would buy those gift vouchers, like drive the Ferrari around Silverstone, go balloon hopping. It's the same thing, no?
Yeah, but people are still doing it. Glenn, hello.
Hey, good morning. Or good afternoon. Or good evening.
From the New Yorker.
Hey, coming to you live from Long Island. Still half asleep, but happy to be here.
Welcome.
Kids in school?
Welcome.
Good morning. Or, well, again, good evening, good afternoon. I have no idea where are you, Eric?
UK, Manchester.
Excellent.
So I think it's probably just after lunch o'clock now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, well, I'm very jealous of you guys. So sorry if I'm a little slow. I was watching the video over there, and I just created a new drinking game for when I'm doing panels at events. Anytime somebody says experience, you got to take a shot. See who's the last man standing.
Yes, it is. It's bang
It's
on
great
12
to actually, I have to say, it's great to have three generations, the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s in one call.
Yeah.
Who's the 30s?
Yeah,
okay.
he just said that to show off.
Yeah. Welcome, Glenn.
Hey,
Welcome.
It's great to talk to you. Eric, I've seen you around for so much. It's great to actually be doing something with you.
Likewise, absolutely. And you're the professional podcaster, and we're absolutely the other end of the spectrum. We know what we're talking about sometimes, but tech-wise, I'm glad you arrived now. I was trying to share a video.
Yeah.
Sound wasn't working, and anyway, it was a beautiful moment.
We are definitely on the opposite ends of the spectrum, because it sounds like you guys do know what you're talking about, and I do not know what's going on here. You know everything, I know nothing, but I just pretend to know it all pretty well.
You have a podcast. We still haven't figured this one out.
Well, that's the art of podcasting. Just do a lot of pretending, and everyone will think you know what you're talking about.
What do they say? Fake it till you make it.
That's exactly right. I'm going to keep doing it. I think I'm just going to be doing fake it until I drop dead, probably.
Well, we were just wrapping up. Actually, the timing of your arrival is perfect. Because I was just wrapping up the segment, the educational segment, let's call it, the distribution channels, which ones are best for my hotels. And I broke it down into animals. So this is being recorded. You can catch up it on YouTube later on.
Yep.
Now,
and I do want to apologize for being late. It's so early here. I had to get my kids off to school, but now they're safely on the bus, headed to get educated. So I'm here to ruin everyone's education here. No,
you're more than welcome. Fabian, over to you, mate. You going to share your screen?
Absolutely. Share my screen, share my screen. This will stop other screen sharing. Yes. Desktop. Yes. Calling all superfans. I have no idea what that is. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Well, I'm your super fan, Fabian.
Yeah. So I have 3 things to talk about it. So first one is I will jump into the news. So for everybody who has just joined, which is just you, Glenn.
Yeah.
Essentially, we have spiced it up a little bit. So I have no idea what Eric talks about, and he doesn't what I talk about. So that's essentially to get a good non-scripted conversation going.
Excellent.
And the second part is I'm going to look at a startup. And the third part is I will talk about my digital storytelling. And then we can go jump into yours and Eric's.
Okay,
sounds good?
Yep.
Fantastic. So Eric, you can choose, mate.
Oh, I choose.
Yeah, you choose.
Okay, so this is the news. Google Hotels revamps mobile. Yep. WeChat.
Yeah.
Yes. Hilton Smart. Yep. Vacation rental trends screen test. Looking at how video and television. Yes. 8 financial themes. Is this a test or literally I can choose anyone?
Choose one.
Okay. The last.
I thought all of them were great. No, I think the last one you shouldn't. I think next week when we talk about prediction.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, not the Hilton one because you know what? WeChat. Definitely WeChat.
The Hilton one is going to make you cringe. It's going to really make you cringe. By the way, anybody who's watching, you can afterwards get those links from us to look at what we are reading on week 1. Okay, let me bring up the WeChat one.
Yes, please.
So for those of you who don't know WeChat, WeChat is essentially WhatsApp on steroids. That's how I like to control it, right? So, and essentially what they have done very cleverly is they have signed with different people. So they have signed with Tourism Australia, Visit Britain, Dubai Tourism, really just to give the Chinese a piece of home and to integrate with the WeChat experience. And when we ran a hotel in Melbourne, I had the same thing. So in Melbourne, we actually drove more Chinese business through the WeChat app than we did through any of the other let's call them social media platforms, right?
Can I just jump in? Glenn, have you heard of WeChat before over there in Long Island?
No, I never had. We have a separate program here in Long Island called Hey, how you doing?
Give me a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
So that's exactly my point. So I didn't want to talk about the actual, how do you call that? Article, but I wanted to tell you what is WeChat absolutely about. And if I go down to what one did I find here? WeChat, what's the one that has all the...
Hootsuite?
No. Crikey. It's like a... Oh my God, I'm...
What is it? A WeChat what? the App Store.
No. It's Encyclopedia. No, but what's the...
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, thank you. So that's where I wanted to get on. Sorry.
It's all right.
Oh my God. So essentially...
now's the perfect time to donate to Wikipedia. They keep asking for money.
Well, let them sort themselves out, eh? If we go on...
How charitable of you, Fabian, during
no problem. Season. Sorry. So if we're going on WeChat, so one thing you got to understand from WeChat is it's like the ultimate platform, in my opinion, if you want to hit Chinese consumers, right? So messaging, we all know, right? So we do Facebook Messenger, we do WhatsApp. But what you can do is you can also link your bank account, right? So in that sense, all of a sudden you can pay. Imagine you can pay with your Facebook or pay with your WhatsApp, right? And it's nothing else an extension of your wallet. So you don't really need a credit card anymore. All it does is like a direct debit as a switch through from anything from online shopping to hotels to whatever you want to name it. Moments is really your social feed of friends update. So we have that now from Instagram. So those guys, very similar, do the same thing, but Moments can be linked then to Facebook, Twitter, and all of those other things. So it automatically updates. The payment I just talked about. The next one is city services, which I thought was quite cool and which they're extending. So you can book doctor appointments, you pay your electricity fee, you can pay traffic fines. So it has evolved from that simple messaging app. The heat map is pretty cool when you look at it from a crowd density perspective. I don't know if that is legal in all parts of the world, but definitely in China it would be quite cool. For companies, so you can have your enterprise one. I think the closest one that we come to is WhatsApp groups. You have the mini program. So you have quick response codes. And what really came, and that's for more supermarkets, right? One thing that is now also big boom in China is the animated
emojis.
No, animated. What are the little QR codes?
Oh yeah.
So essentially, when you go, it brings up an animation, and therefore you can really imagine you have an F&B restaurant, an F&B outlet, and you just have that they scan it and they will see a little super cool video directly on their mobile phone, right? Friend seeking, so you can find different friends around. The index.
Is that friend seeking a little bit like Tinder?
I wouldn't take it so far. It's more of a friend radar. The index page gives you popular items of whatever you're looking for over the last 70, 30, and 90 days. The newsfeed and search is nothing else. The WeChat out is now a voice calling thing. And then there is more augmented reality stuff and artificial intelligence stuff that is really coming out. Part of it also has to do with the facial recognition that I mentioned earlier on here. So essentially, when you go to China, the problem that they still have with Airbnb, or the Chinese version of it, is that by law, you kind of got to know that the person who registered is also the person that stays with you, right? And you have to pass it over to the government. Now, what you can't do with Airbnb, you can't verify that the person who booked is actually that registered person, right? Because you don't have anything that you can do there. But what they want to do is they want to have a facial recognition service that is on the log so that you can actually adhere to that. Now, if that booms, they already have a go on Airbnb. And can you imagine what a security that would be if you're global with that? And think the next step, hey, why do I need a receptionist if you can scan your, let's say you take your driver license, Glenn, and you scan it and you keep it in your phone, right? So when you go to the next hotel, all you got to do is scan yourself onto the door and on you go because it directly validated, right? You copy and you put the blockchain in there. People, we're going crazy here, right?
Yeah, so, I saw that KFC in China, you can now buy your KFC just using facial recognition.
Oh, yeah.
But it's facial recognition of the chicken, not you. This is pretty interesting to me, and this facial recognition technology is interesting. But one of the things I say here in the United States is, when it comes to traditional hotels, Fabian, you mentioned not having a check-in clerk. I'm worried about losing that human touch in the hospitality experience because I feel like that's about all we're going to have. At the end of the day, is that human connection. And without that, then I'm really worried about our properties becoming commoditized and just fighting on price alone.
That's the interesting part. So let me come back to that in 1 second when we talk about the storytelling, because I have the Airbnb versus hotel storytelling kind of digital thing going. And it's really interesting. It's exactly what you just said, but it actually is concerned that the hotel industry still talks about price and availability, where Airbnb is talking only about value proposition, and experience, and teaches their hosts how to be better hosts, because all they're saying is, don't worry about selling that room, worry about once you sold the room that you actually deliver on what you promised.
Interesting.
So just here, the one thing that I wanted to show in the revamping of Google stuff, I would have thought that you're going for the Google stuff. There's good stuff in here for independent hotels. Now, they have changed slightly their mobile app in a couple of countries to be a little bit more like the Google Flight Sync. Now, people are complaining, as you can see here. So Google is monetizing, blah, 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 profitability out of the travel space. They're essentially just doing what I believe everybody knew was coming in the next decade anyhow, right?
No, they've been talking about it for a number of years here.
Correct. So what is interesting is they kind of want to move to more meta search. And I think that goes into your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I'm all
Eric.
in. I'm all in.
Yeah. Now, what was really interesting is the instantly book room types, right? So I did the test and I literally went and followed what they said and it works, right? So I went to the next one and was talking about, okay, if we do a little bit more work on the instant booking for independents, then how will that look, considering that TripAdvisor instant booking push would have backfired? Google is actually going into that direction and saying, hey, let's do something different than rather the cost per click model as we have done, so that we can make it a bigger fish across the world. We then moved into the loyalty part, and that kept me winning. So I did what your wife normally does, and I said hotels in Rotterdam, right? Mm-hmm. On Google. And then I scrolled down. And unfortunately, whatever they mentioned here in regards to Google identical rates, right? Mm-hmm. That I couldn't find. So I thought, okay, let me have a look and actually do the Novotel hotel as they said in their own one, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So then making it smaller, I looked on the view more rates, and there you can see it.
Yes.
That's already, so now they're allowing inline.
But Fabian, did you see how it wasn't visible right away?
Correct, but if you go on a mobile device, it is, right?
Okay.
So bring me to my next one. Mobile rates called out directly. Now this one I really had problems with. And now let me just hook on to taking tech to another level. So I'm now going to hook up my phone to my computer so you can see what I have on the screen.
Glenn, Fabian's going hardcore, geeking out. Right now.
895. This is really confusing.
Is it maybe because you're on full screen on the PowerPoint? Is that blocking it?
No, I shouldn't.
Okay.
There we go. So.
Cozy.
I'm going to a new tab and I go hotel in, where was it? Rotterdam, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then let me just do Novotel. Now, what they're claiming here is that you will see, once you go on to see more, that you will see mobile only rates. Now I've tried it with 10 different markets, 15 different hotels. I constantly updated different things. I was yet to see something that said mobile only. And that really frustrated me. Because you would expect that in this day and age, the hotels, especially independents who might not have the tech savvy staff on board, this will be taken off their hand. Mm-hmm. To say, you know what, if you want to participate in the mobile only space, then go for it. Not only, well, you could argue that it's a bit cheeky to say, oh, by the way, if you are booking on mobile, you get it cheaper, because essentially it's just another device. That's all it is. So now from that on, I wanted to move over to storytelling. Okay. And what you saw on the storytelling part is, Cozy. Have you heard of Cozy?
I have.
So
Thailand
Cozy,
brand. Part of
sorry?
Santara? I think it's a brand of hotels in Thailand.
Correct. And it was built and done for the mobile savvy young people. And it says, we want you to experience mobile, book mobile, do mobile. But when you look at it actually, and you can see in the next scrolling, nothing
they are
is mobile
happy to be
optimized.
experiencing mobile, those people. Wow.
It's not even mobile optimized. Unfortunately, half of the picture is cut out.
Yeah.
Same here. She's cut out.
I see what you mean, the scrolling background.
Right? And I then go onto the booking engine. It's really clunky. It's really not. It's so many clicks that I need to do. And again, it's not, I would have expected something different when I look at the website. Now, the storytelling itself, let me just get rid of that. And Smart View Connection. And I'm back.
Wow,
okay.
That was a technical journey there.
That was a technical journey, hey? So if I go on the Cozy brand now, Cozy Hotels. It reminded me a little bit of last week when you talked about the how can you become tech savvy and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this one seems to be upside down on purpose, that picture from the guy who jumps into the water. Then again, you can see what happens here. So the pictures are kind of broken off, right, and they really change fast. I mean, they really, really change fast. It doesn't really have an up or down swiping, so a left and right, and generally everybody in the mobile world swipes up and down. And if you go into the different stories, it's actually a lot of writing and not a lot of pictures. So when we then talked about the digital storytelling, I thought that was really not connecting with what I would love to see in a we are here for your at home, from home, and mobile savvy, so on and so forth. So I was a bit...
Can I ask Glenn a question?
Sure.
On topic, but still more 20,000 foot view. Glenn, when you're doing a family vacation, are you a kayak person to find flights? Are you a points junkie for a certain brand? Where do you go when it's if it's the family, you're
right,
kind of get it right rather than...
Well, I'm a little bit of an odd duck because of the relationships I have in the business, but I'm much more of the points junkie thing, I would say, if I had to look at anything. I like to think of myself as more savvy, so I kind of know where I want to go, where I want to stay kind of ahead of time. So I try to work it that way, as opposed to what I think most people traditionally do is they look at price first before figuring out what the experience is going to be, which leads me to think just now that, I guess really the whole point is using smart digital storytelling in order to try to get people to focus on that rather than the pricing option first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, and I completely understand what you mean. We've got, I guess, similar networks, and I could pick up the phone and speak to somebody saying, what's the crack? Have you got a deal?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes Hotel Tonight, other times Airbnb. But equally like yourself. And so I think that's something that I've certainly experienced with a lot of US colleagues. Mm-hmm. I think people in the US tend to be way more loyalty-oriented, points junkie. I remember one guy I used to work with at Infor. We were talking, he was in Sydney visiting us, and we were talking about the trip he has returning back to Dallas. Right. He was telling me about the flights, and how many points he's getting for each leg. Mm-hmm. Then the car rental, of course, the car rental is also linked in with the Marriott rewards.
Right.
And he knew the miles, he knew everything. And I don't think that was unique. I think a lot of road warriors, let's call them, mm-hmm, are all about loyalty. Yes. And way more than I think we are outside of North America. Is that a fair statement?
I agree, and I'll take that and ante up this whenever I go to hotel industry conferences or events or cocktail parties. Honestly, everyone sits around and has that conversation. Oh, how close are you to getting diamond status on your airline? How many nights do you have at your hotel chain of choice, those kinds of conversation, which is much more than, hey, what did you think of the experience of that hotel? It's really all about, you know, the feeling that we get from earning the points as opposed to the feeling that we get from experiencing the property itself. But that only works if everything is fine. If there's anything off or negative about the hotel, you kind of jump into that mode as well.
Yeah. Fabian, are you a loyalty man?
Yes and no. I think when it comes to flights, yes, because there's a reward that I can use in private. When I go for hotels, I learned my lesson and say, okay, if I go with the family, I let my wife take care of that. For the simple reason is I would do exactly like you do. Like I know somebody, I call them and then they would talk me into staying there and they give me a good deal. And I kind of go like, yeah, okay. I'll say we're completely forgetting that it's a family vacation and we're there for family vacation. And I'm just thinking, yeah, like, let's sell stuff. Let's do some work. Like, is the internet really good and stuff? So what is interesting though, from all of that you mentioned and Glenn mentioned is that if you bring it to what the guys in Airbnb are actually saying, they create a better digital experience through storytelling and emotional connections.
Right.
And what they're saying is it starts way before you actually stay there. It starts way before you actually choose a destination. So, and we're thinking the same when we're like, okay, we live in Southeast Asia. Where do we want to go for holidays? Because you have been to Bali, you have been here, you have been there. So you kind of try to get off the beaten track. But you equally want to, first of all, get that destination. Then you kind of go like with the beach that you mentioned in Australia. You kind of first look at that and then you kind of like, okay, I really like that beach. So I want to stay at that beach. But do you know this old city also really nice? Want to go there? And you kind of then have destination against destination. Once you filter the destination down, you go to the next level kind of thing. Where if you go on business, you either, come on, we're a bit odd because we're staying with the people that either work with us, have worked with us, or kind of our clients. That's generally the rule of thumb. Mm-hmm. But for airlines, definitely the points make it better. And I still go, if I know I want to stay there in that location, I will look for the best deal, because if it's just me staying there, I'm not there for an experience. Yeah. I'm there for, I need to sleep.
Is Visly your startup or is that something else?
No. Visly, my startup is a company called Travelnest. So it's a B2B vacation rental advertising startup, NAP's 3 million seed round. Now, that came out last week, and I swear to God, they changed their website. Right? So essentially, they want to bring something amazing advertising optimization platform for holiday and rental owners to, as you know, the home sharing industry, whatever you want to call that.
Vacation rental.
Right? Yeah. Vacation rental, right? Mm-hmm. Now, remember, I think we talked about it a couple of days ago, Eric.
Yes, we did, because I was in Edinburgh this week.
Correct. You were in Edinburgh and you kind of wanted to see those guys, right?
Well, yeah, because they came and visited us at WTM, the COO, and we had a chat. They were basically looking for distribution, help with distribution in terms of the channel management and that kind of stuff. So, you know what WTM is like. You have a lot of conversations with a lot of different people, and you sort of clock that, okay, Travelnest is something new. I haven't heard of it. They're up in Edinburgh. And so literally 2 days before going up to Edinburgh, the news came out that they'd raised some, 3 million euro, and they're up in Edinburgh. So I just pinged the contact there, and we didn't actually end up meeting. But the founder is, well, sorry, I'm not going to steal your thunder here. Tell us, did you want to go into the founder or?
No. What I wanted to go is, first of all, they changed the website, because if you looked at the last website, it looked a bit like it's a channel manager. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So then I look on here and it says multiple channel. So, okay. So with Travelnest, we list your rental in our major channels and more to ensure occupancy. So a channel manager.
Yes.
And then there's jobs.
Okay.
right? And then it says all in one place, your calendar and communication of your properties will be in one central place.
Yeah.
No need for multiple logins. Again, I really have no clue what you're talking about, but chances are you're a channel manager,
Yes.
right? And getting 3 million to be a channel manager,
I know.
That's unbelievable.
I read the article.
I'll do that for you for $49 a month.
Yeah, I read the article.
Get that 2 million. You might be in business there, baby.
I call Eric. You guys connect to Airbnb, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So there we go, people. Call Eric. He hits you up.
Did you in the newspaper article? The founder is 23 years old. So awesome.
I know.
And I'm not hating on this at all. I wish them every success. But in the newspaper article, he got his start with his parents, because his parents have some properties, not just some properties. His parents have 40 houses, 40, wow. Not 14. So I'm like, that's a nice start. Did you really need to raise that money, or could mommy and daddy not just throw some, bootstrapping cash your way? But look, what I saw of this is that you've got Rentals United out of Barcelona. You've got Kigo, I think, also out of Barcelona. And I'm sure over in the US, Glenn, you've got VR players, I think like Jackrabbit Systems and others. This is not necessarily a new, it's a booming market, don't get me wrong. Huge growth in vacation rental space. But it looks to me at a 40,000 foot view as a channel manager for VR, vacation rental.
Yeah.
3 million, ka-ching.
Seems like it. Well, I'm going to take a more straightforward approach. I don't like this kid because he's half my age. So I'm just going to stick with that. He's got all this possibility ahead of him, and I'm just, circling around death. So I'm
Well, so this is, well, you know what? I think whoever invested obviously do the due diligence, and they probably see huge potential and an easy exit if they were able to execute in the UK, because I mentioned Rentals United and Kigo. They're very much, Spanish-based.
See you later, Niels. Enjoy.
Yeah, see you, Niels. But maybe they see that a play here in the UK market. If they get some traction here in the UK, then they're likely easy exit there from somebody looking to consolidate. That's how I see it.
Good.
Shall we start the main topic of today, or do you want to do a few more things?
No, I wanted to start and kick off by my version of the storytelling, because we're nearly on a 1.5 hour mark, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I found a really nice one, Belmond.
Orient Express.
Heard of them?
Yes, formerly Orient Express, yes.
They shouldn't have changed their name.
No, but watch the video. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Bit louder.
Let's see what's behind it. Welcome to the wonderful world of Belmond, where everything is almost as mythical as its guests. Now, may I show you to your room? I'm sure you'll find everything to your liking. And here is the view. Stunning, isn't it? Have you met Jose? Jose has been at Belmond since, forever. The only one who can get you a 1-star meal. Yeah. At 1 a.m. A receipt. Excellent choice. Or a majestic breakfast at sunrise. Oops. Good morning, Mr. Perez. Still working on your forehand? Now, take your time and relax beside our outrageously large swimming pool. It wasn't supposed to be so large, but the architect mistook the feet for meters, and here it is, Olympic-sized. We're entering our Afra de Paix. Hello, Mrs. Rossi.
I think you got the point, right?
Yes, it's a very hoity-toity, high-end. I still come back to, I wish they never changed from Orient Express. I thought it was a great brand. And I think Accor are doing some Orient Express train stuff currently. Is that right?
I think so. My point on the whole thing is that they're really selling you an experience there, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about digital storytelling. They're not talking about availability. They're talking about stuff where you actually go like, wow, I actually want to go there. Like if I have the cash to actually go there, I instantly click in my mind to say, nice one.
Yeah,
right?
I've
And
only
let me look up it.
Sorry, go ahead.
And one of the news articles I had was about videos and TV. And what caught my eye in a separate article was that the CEO of either Priceline or Expedia, one of them two, said they want to invest more in television right now because away from the digital, because they realized that when you're watching TV, you kind of go on your mobile phone and whatever you see in travel, you're going to look up.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And that's the same thing what I did. I saw that somewhere, that video, and I literally started Googling Belmond, right? I went through the entire thing. Where do they have properties? What do they actually do? Is it nice? What's the price range? Is it something for us to go on the next trip? Or so on and so forth. And I think that directly hit home the connection between a really sexy, quick storytelling, not as the Marriott, what was it, the Belmond movie that they brought out?
Yeah,
those two
Belmond.
two Belmond ones. Still got to watch them. But directly sticks in your mind.
Yeah, I've only stayed at one. I'm going to keep calling them Orient Express because I'm like that. Rev Max, a rate tiger. I'm like that. So Orient Express, I stayed at the Sydney property many years ago, and not my scene. Lovely property, don't get me wrong, but it's old world. Yeah. Let's call it she, foo, la, la. Not me, not my cup of tea, but a lovely property. So as that video is being played, very cool for that persona. That's just not my scene.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I like the idea of videos, but the tone of that video was really odd to me, at least from my American standpoint. I didn't get it seemed like some weird making fun of a 1960s style film that you would show in school, right? You know, be good, Johnny. You don't want to be a bad kid, right? So it wasn't
around 1960.
Yeah, no, well, I've seen the videos. Find them on YouTube, you know. Just do like 1960s classroom videos and you'll find a whole sort of stuff like that. So I didn't really get what they were trying to do. I got the messaging that they were trying to accomplish, but it was dressed in a package that I thought was totally different than what I'm going to use the assume word, what the experience would be at the hotel, which, Eric, is exactly what I thought it would be. Old world, haughty-taughty, kind of she kind of feeling, which is not for me.
You see, I
perfect audience, but yeah,
I thought it was more bringing home the actual human hospitality aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different humans, not our kind of humans.
No, but they're still the same. I mean, you can argue luxury for me is either you get slammed with bodies that constantly want to pamper you, or you kind of go the other end, the luxury, the low touch luxury.
Yeah.
The high-end ones that literally do not want to see anybody in the hotel. And my favorite hotel would be one without people in there.
Right.
But when I want something and I click something, then it will pop up magically, right?
Right. Fabian, you're absolutely right that they did accomplish a goal of showing that there's a lot of hand-holding and experience generating at the property. I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying that I think tonally it doesn't make sense for whom I perceive their target audience to be. I might have approached it in a different way. I think that there are brands that would work well from a highly quirky, unusual type of approach with the style of video. I just don't think Belmond, and I'll say Orient Express for Eric, you know?
Yes, thank you.
That one.
But here's my question, right? So can you actually put something digitally together that is interesting for all consumers across the globe?
No.
Right?
No, of course not. No. Can I share my one while we're talking about this topic? Because I think it's a nice little segue, and we're also well into an hour and a half now. So if I go here, now, can you see Sir Hotels?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So these guys are a collection of properties, I think about 5 properties in Europe, primarily in the Netherlands. Now, Sir Albert, I met the people behind the brand from a revenue management and distribution perspective, and they were having a workshop in Amsterdam, and they spoke about digital storytelling, and they said, have you guys heard of Sir Albert? No, none of us had. But they said, we have one of our properties within the Sir collection is Sir Albert. And the whole image, the whole story, let's say, of the property is around Sir Albert. Sir Albert, a fashion icon, dabbles in music, movies. I don't remember the details, but this is guy, who doesn't exist.
Right.
They created this persona around Sir Albert, and they were saying that we have guests arriving now asking for Sir Albert, and they've done the whole storytelling right through the property. There's a book, and they're sort of saying Sir Albert is not here right now. And so for me, and looking at their website, let me just go to their website just now.
But Eric, that's not the brand that you mentioned, where each and every hotel has their own. Do you remember, we had the conversation in the past, or I don't know if it was with Glenn or with yourself, where each property creates their own unique Sir Albert. Is that the one?
Yeah, exactly. There's other Sirs. There's Sir Henry or whoever.
Yeah, correct. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so it looks now, I went right throughout the website, and it looks like they've gone away with actually Sir Albert in detail. So it looks like they've still got this brand, but no, I don't know if they're really pushing the fact that this person doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But what I did like about them is their Instagram account. I really like their Instagram account.
Nice.
Here, basically, they're presenting the very best of local food, culture, experiences in Amsterdam. Right. But look how they've done it. It's like a menu. The first section of drinks, here's where we recommend you go for a nice drink. If you're into local breweries, they're recommending Brewertje.
Brewertje. Wow.
I can't even pronounce that. And then, of course, good food.
Very clever.
I love it.
I love that. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Very cleverly done.
Well, overall, though, I think their branding is terrific.
Yes, I agree.
What makes you say that, Glenn? What touches you?
Because I think they fully understand who they are and how to project that image, which is a shortcut for me to understand who they are. That picture of the guy with the kiwis and the pink jacket there, it just stands out to me that these guys are confident and get who they are. Plus, the visual imagery in this picture is just awesome. It just looks great, and it looks like it makes me want to be a part of it immediately. I
completely agree. I would stay there, even though I'm probably above their target demographic and age. But I like this. I completely agree with you, Glenn. It stood out to me right away. I didn't care whether the Sir Albert exists or not. But then when I saw their Instagram account, I was like, okay, now, because remember last week, I think, Fabian, I was telling you about the difference between Airbnb and hotels, in that the Airbnb are capitalizing on that local knowledge in a way that hotels kind of miss the boat. Well, these guys, Sir Hotels, have got a very, very cool Instagram account where, again, I'm all into Instagram these days. So if I'm looking for a drink, it's already here. If I'm looking for some food, it may or may not be their own restaurant, because that would be a little bit tacky, but they're showing me according to them. So if I resonate with their brand and their message and their story, then I'm probably going to be more tuned into their recommendations. Right. And I think you know what, anyone can do this on Instagram. This is easy and it's free.
But agreed. But for me, okay, we're in an expectation economy, right? So we all know it doesn't need to be a sneaker or coffee. It has to be a Nike or a Starbucks, right? And with the younger generation, it goes even further, from becoming brand ambassadors for the couple of minutes that you're actually tuned into that brand. Now, my question here is, I like that, don't get me wrong, but would I ever stay there? No way. Right?
Why no way?
For the simple reason, it's because I like it, but it's not me. Right? It's like you look at a menu, but you eat at home. Right? Kind of thing. So I love what they're doing, and I think it's really great. And to their consumer, it fits. But for me personally, I would look at it and say like, wow, this is really cool. As I said, it's like the way they stuff promoted, but would I then actually take that action, that emotional connection that I require in order to identify with them?
Right.
That is missing.
You've hit the key point. They're committing to their target audience. You and I are not, even though we aspire to, but they're committing to it full on. And that's
as
where
they should.
Yes, exactly.
Right. To me, Fabian, the fact that you don't like it tells me
No,
that
don't get me wrong. I like it.
but that you
stay
wouldn't stay there tells me they're doing something right. Because I think the greatest problem that we have right now is when you would try to appeal to everybody, you wind up appealing to nobody, right?
Exactly.
You maybe get 10, 15% of connecting to them. So in today's market, you have to be highly, highly focused on whatever your concept is, as long as there's enough of a pool of people that are going to be wanting to stay with you. So I think that's the trickiness. You can't appeal to everybody, but you got to appeal to somebody, and you got to make sure that your target audience is large enough. I think
exactly,
this
because
enough people probably.
If you're coming into a credit crunch, Glenn, then all of a sudden it's all thrown out. Let's go for the stuff that actually makes us money. And I think that's I think the biggest key point that you just made is they're sticking to who they want and what they want.
Yes,
right.
Committing to it. Yeah.
Committing to it 100%, right? My question is always, how dedicated are you really to that commitment? Because if crunch time comes, are you still going to be committed, or is Sir Albert all of a sudden going to be Princess whatever, just so that we get Princess, I can't remember, Princess, will then, Princess Anne, that will then get a different demographic in, because that doesn't work. And equally, the other part is, bringing back to McDonald's in Australia. So they wanted to boost Sunday morning breakfast, and they did this digital campaign about saying, hey, young people, come after you had the night out and sit in McDonald's, right? And they completely alienated the families, because all of a sudden you have these young guys that are throwing up everywhere after a party. And then you come there with your family, and it's kind of like it backfired. But they did that in order to say, that market doesn't give us enough money, so now I got to find a different money pumper to give me more revenue. And all they did was literally destroy the other one. And I don't know if those highly specialized, fully committed brands, either they get it 100% right and are flying through the roof, right? In which sense you and I would aspire to really want that. And if we ever had the chance, we would directly take the chance. But we're not at that stage with that brand at the moment, I agree.
But let's look at it by destination. So I'm not going to name the hotel brand, but a big chain in Thailand that I've been known for quite some time. They still do have multiple properties in a single destination. Let's say Phuket. Now, Phuket is a destination for a lot of Europeans, Germans, Swedes, Russians, and others, right? But it was so popular with Russians that what they ended up having to do is say, okay, one of our properties is basically where all the Russians will go, because there were so many complaints from other guests that, you know what?
We had the same in Croatia. No joke, same in Croatia. You select the property and you put the Russians there.
So, it all comes about to that guest experience as well has to be on brand, but then being sensitive to, like the McDonald's thing. Now you've alienated the families because all of the dance party kids are there having coffee or breakfast in the morning. That's what you were saying, right? With McDonald's trying to do.
Yeah, it was essentially like they clashed, because you want to go there with your 6-year-old, and you see those half-drunk 20-year-olds, right?
But Glenn, who's got your attention in digitals? Who's doing it well?
Well, first let me say, I think, to go back to the McDonald's thing, I think Taco Bell here in the United States did a great job, because they definitely appealed to that 2 to 3 a.m. drunk audience. But it doesn't spill over into breakfast. They created the whole concept of the third meal here. So they found a lot of success by, instead of doing what others are doing or trying to muscle in on an existing business, they created a whole new way of connecting with customers. And it's done them a really great service.
Cool.
I think speaking about digitally, I think Moxy through Marriott seems to be doing a really, really good job. I just had the opportunity to visit one of their properties in Times Square a few weeks ago.
It's a pretty cool brand, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a podcast coming out with one of the developer Lightstone Group in a couple of weeks. And in our conversation, it was just so fascinating to me. If you could go to the New York property too, that'd be, here we go. This Times Square property is really great. It's one of those properties that just, I wanted to not like it, right? Because I don't like the whole playing to the millennial thing. but it really focuses, I think, on the millennial mindset as opposed to the millennial age group, right?
Is this a little bit like the W brand?
Yeah, but I didn't feel I feel included at Moxy. At W, I always felt like I wasn't welcome because I wasn't 25 and wearing all black and sexy enough.
Yeah, I
you know
agree.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? So with this place, it's cool. It's irreverent. It's a little bit cheeky. Doesn't take itself too seriously. Yet, I think really delivers on the experience aspect of it. So if you look at all of their branding, it just really
and is it right on Times Square?
It is at 37th and 7th.
Oh, okay.
So it's a few steps away from Times Square.
It's a bit down from the West End, yeah.
Yeah, it's
close to the port.
It's 2 blocks from Penn Station, and
but it's a nice easy walk to Times Square.
Oh yeah, it's like 2 blocks from the bottom of Times Square. It's 2 blocks from the Long Island Railroad Amtrak station. Yeah. It's right in the heart of everything. I was there for an event that was taking place on the west side at the Jacob Javits Center. It's easy to get over there as well, 10-minute walk. Just great positioning. As far as what they're doing over there, they partnered with Tao Group at the New York property for the food and beverage experience. For those out there who don't know what Tao Group is, they are a pretty significant player in the food beverage experience scene, especially in Las Vegas. They actually have the #1 grossing restaurant nightclub in the entire country. And I think they've got 3 or 4 in the top 10 altogether. So they know what they're doing with creating experience and food and beverage and stuff. The Times Square property also has the city's largest rooftop bar. And they've taken that to an accentuated level by creating a carnival upstairs, so to speak. So a lot of it's subtle, but some of it's over the top, where they have a couple of banquet seats that are on a carousel that spin around, kind of like a revolving restaurant.
Okay,
nice.
And they have a 3-hole miniature golf course up there.
So like the old carny. When you said carnival, I thought Brazilian carnival.
Right.
Yeah.
But they've taken it and they've made it sexy and sexual. The miniature golf course is called Foreplay, and they've got sexy rabbits as kind of like the stuff that you have to go around. And then they've got topiaries, which are like teddy bears in sexual positions. So it's fun, it's cheeky. And then the coolest idea that they have is they have rooms that are available only to people that are buying it off the menu at the rooftop bar. So if you're too, if you're too drunk to go home, with the lady next to you, you can just grab an inexpensive room. I think it's $99 and just go crash. It's called a crash pad and go just check in there.
That's
I think the brands, those kind of hotel brands, if you need the right staff in order to make it work. And I think that's where the human element came in. I consulted in South Africa about two months ago, and they have 3 hotels, and 2 ones are exactly like you mentioned earlier. It's like they know who they are, right? So they're a bit old school, but the owners pretty much say, this is who we are. And you can go through that 2 properties, and they're really old kind of style properties, and it really feels. And then they have this 3rd hotels that are kind of, it's really just weird. The location is okay, but they were playing around with Moxy in their mind, but equally with a Hoxton. The Hoxton in London. Yeah. If you want to bring that one up, similar concern, similar to this one, right?
In London, do you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me just go here and get rid of this. How do I get into there?
You really need to brush up. Maybe you want to get a PC instead of a Mac, mate.
No, but you know what? It's this thing is on top of the screen. It won't move. Hang on a second. I'll do it this way. Good. So in London, nice segue, because...
that's a new one, yeah? It's with LJ, yeah? LH.
Yes.
Is it LH?
Leotaros.
Is that actually a barge?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
This is a fantastic property, fantastic concept. It links to storytelling as well. I've got a link. This is the image from the article in The Guardian. This is now, let me go back to over here and then open up this newspaper article here. Now look, this is the Daily Mail. The jail you won't want to escape. Floating Dutch prison transformed into a luxury hotel with a roof garden and views of the Thames, inspired by New York City's High Line.
Wow.
So it's a 144-room boutique hotel. That's an aerial view. Now,
Nice.
it used to be used as a detention center. They transformed it into this very nice, cool property.
It's a non-profit, right?
Yes, it's a profit for not-for-profit. So basically the story behind it is that the staff there are all, well, I don't know particularly which staff, but the whole concept is to employ local long-term unemployed type of people, and all the profits from the business goes back into the charities.
Mm-hmm.
But look what they've done. Look how they've transformed a former prison. And
Nice.
just that, it's actually, like when I first stayed there, I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
I loved it. The actual public areas here are looking onto the Thames. Nice natural light. See that corner there? That's where I normally sit, back there. And nice fast Wi-Fi. It's the kind of property where you actually feel really comfortable to work there. And guess what? It's only a 4-minute walk from the Excel Convention Center.
You stayed at WTM, right?
Yes. It's amazing. But I think this is interesting. Apparently there are other trends where this particular concept of remodeling former prisons.
Yes, check out Boston's Liberty Hotel, libertyhotel.com. That, I think, was the first notable one, and the amount of public relations that they've received from that over the years since it opened, 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was, has been tremendous. I mean, it's been so drilled into my mind that that's the place to try to stay when you're in Boston, because they had such an interesting and unique angle, and were able to really leverage that to break through all of that clutter and get into the consumer's brain.
Yeah, well, Fabian, I think you know the GM.
Yeah, I do. He worked with me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're a great team.
It's when he talked to me about this idea, I was like, this is a brilliant idea. I generally, when I hear the non-profit thing, I generally think, okay, how's it gonna work? Because you're kind of in the hotel business and you kind of want to do profit. But when he explained the profit for non-profit and how they want to take the stuff, they had a really good video on their website. If you go on the full website of how they're, I don't know if it was a marketing thing or something, where they showed that somebody who didn't have a job actually was able to work for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And therefore get a better life for themselves, because all of a sudden they got a really good job. They got the education, they understood the food, they could really get into the food and beverage business. And then they were going to the next job, which was a restaurant manager position in a small little restaurant, right?
Yeah,
and they're changing lives. And that's what I like about it. They're taking the brand to the next level, because they're essentially just saying, we are creating something here. We're not just doing it for the branding, but we're doing it for the this is us kind of thing.
Isn't the ultimate objective of good storytelling is that your story will be told to the next person and the next person and the next person, which is exactly what we're doing here. I'm sharing what my experience has been. You guys are resonating relating to this or not. And that's what I think is really quite magic. I stay there, even if I'm not doing any events at the XL Convention Center. It's easy to get into the central part of London or east-west London. It's 7 minutes from London City Airport. So anyway,
perfect.
That was another part of my, let's say, digital storytelling for hotels. But I want to ask Glenn, how has this experience been for you today with our ultra tech oriented aspect?
It's been great. I've really enjoyed talking to you, Eric. As far as Fabian goes, I don't know. No, this has been great. I've actually sitting here. I've been scared I wouldn't be able to keep up with you guys, because you guys are so focused on the technology and seem to know so much. Where you get into specifics, I'm much more that 20,000, 40,000 foot type of guy. So I'm glad that I was able to play ball with you today, and I had a lot of fun.
No, absolutely. No, I think it's obviously our specialization is hotel tech. However, we're also guests and consumers. And we also, I think Fabian in particular, he's very good at explaining very, very technically difficult technical concepts in a simple way.
Yes.
So this is our little platform and our medium. And we are honored that you joined us on episode 4. But you said you're in Long Island right now?
I am.
Okay, cool.
And for those of you who don't know, Long Island is a suburb of New York City. Actually, Brooklyn and Queens are attached. We are all on Long Island together.
Okay.
Now, quick question, Glenn. So everybody talks about the Chinese consumer, right?
Yes, they do.
I know that some of the Asian brands are now buying properties in New York, in other major cities in order to turn them around, kind of like Holiday Inn did 50 years ago, going abroad. They're kind of going, I'll take a Jinjiang and I whack it into New York, right?
Yeah.
The best one is the Hotel Jen. I think that's a key one that is going out there. Is it if I look at the spectrum, American culture, Chinese culture, or South Asian culture, do you actively see things being purposely done to address that new market? Or is it kind of like, come here and just gotta live it up the way we want?
I see a lot of talk about it, but I don't see a lot of things actually happening. I don't know how many times I have to say the Chinese middle class has more people than folks in the United States, and a lot of them are coming here, and you need to prepare to welcome those guests. You need to think about that breakfast that they like, and you need to think about the TV channels that they like, and some of the other cultural nuances. The only ones that do any touches of it seem to be at the luxury level, right? Or the odd hotel, I believe, not Chinese, but focusing on Japanese in Louisville, Kentucky. They get a lot of Japanese that go and visit all of the bourbon distilleries, and they do a decent job at least having some TV channels and some culturally relevant things to them, like tea, But other than that, we're missing out on a huge opportunity here in the United States, and basically seeding the market for those Chinese hotel companies to come in and build properties that are going to be specifically for Chinese to go to. I mean, it's a big problem, I think, coming up the pike.
Yeah, I think we have the same problem not the same problem in Europe. What I do see though is when we talk about at least we're talking about a Chinese traveler, right? Mm-hmm. Normally people talk about the Asian traveler, and I kind of go like a Thai person is different to an Indonesian, is different to a Singaporean,
right?
To a Filipino, right? So there is really no Asian traveler. You can argue that even in China, there are so many different. If you're from the north or from the south or the west or the east or from Shanghai or Beijing.
Yeah.
One thing somebody said really, really interesting to me the other day, and he said, like, in order to attract the Asian consumer, the Chinese consumer in that perspective, we actually got rid of the English speakers that did our storytelling, and we employed local Chinese to do the storytelling. So you know how it's normally is you have your website in English and you translate it into Chinese?
Right.
They kind of like, no, let's build it in Chinese and then let's translate it into English.
Fascinating.
And the interesting point is that you're looking at it from a different angle, as exactly as you said, like we got to be prepared, but we got to be prepared not to say, by the way, this is a stir fry and it's made by the Italian chef.
Right.
No, it's an authentic, local kind of experience as you would from home. And I don't know if we're actually ready. We always talk about locals, and we brought in Glocals, this global locals, and everybody wants that experience. America is a very internal tourism kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I would argue you have more national than international business.
No, we definitely do.
So the biggest cities, I'm not too concerned that they will get on it, but how's the rest going to deal with it?
Yeah. I don't think anyone's dealing with it, which seems to be a common problem in the American hospitality business. We're very slow to change. We're very slow to react. I can give you two specific examples. We allowed the OTAs to come in because they discounted that. Then Airbnb was basically allowed to come in and be total interlopers because nobody responded to it and ignored it. Now we're ignoring the Chinese consumer. IHG did a great thing by creating Hualux hotels specifically for China, right? Why not take that brand and put it here? So at least you have, at least you're addressing that Chinese audience in a certain way and not allowing those other companies to then come in. And
I think that the Chinese brands or companies are now buying up European properties, especially in France, Paris.
Yeah, of course they are.
Louvre hotels. There's, they're moving in a big way, not just the consumers, but Chinese businesses. I mentioned C-Trip earlier, now being rebranded as Trip. Fabian, did you notice when you were doing that little mobile phone thingy, Trip.com was there as well as a bidder?
Yeah, I saw that. I was seeing exactly Trip.com there. It was nicely done.
They're moving quickly. And Glenn, you're completely right. I mean, if history tells us anything, it's like we continue to not learn necessarily from our mistakes all the time. But I have a WeChat account. I haven't used it for a little while. And the way I described it is like WhatsApp and Facebook all combined, but now it's even more than that. It's amazing. It's when I did use it, it was fantastic. It was like 3 or 4 different other apps that I used in one. So there's no surprise that the Chinese market love to use that device because it does almost everything for them.
Right.
Yeah, big opportunity. So I think, where are we at?
We're nearly at 2 hours.
We're 7 minutes shy of 2 hours, our record. But Glenn, the floor is yours. Please share with us what you're doing this weekend, or what do you got going on today?
Well, I don't really have anything going on until Sunday, December 17th, when I get to go see the new Star Wars movie. So basically, my whole life is on hold until I get to go do that. At this point. So I'm excited. I'm just home now. I've had 2 crazy months on the road. I've been fortunate enough to be speaking at a lot of major industry events and doing a lot of fun things with connecting with people. But now I get to just kind of retreat and get to focus on my new website, No Vacancy News. So if you guys like hotel industry news presented in a different way, it's all podcasts, all videos. I love it. That's the way we're moving. So check out novacancynews.com. That's what I'll be focused on now for the next 3-4 weeks till I get back on the road.
Awesome. Will do. Fabian, what do you got going on today or the weekend?
We're going to have a Greek night tomorrow. And then the typical wheeling around the kids to ballet, taekwondo, whatever they want to do in order to have some quality time in the evening, and they're tired and going to bed.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
What about you? What are you up to this weekend? Anything fun? I mean, I'm taking my kids for a haircut tomorrow, so I don't know if you could beat that one.
I can't. I love the haircut experience and the beard experience. As you can say, I've been told my beard game is strong. But, it's the Christmas fair at the school this weekend.
Right.
So my wife is very, very heavily involved. I think she's the treasurer for the parents club thing, whatever. And so that's cool. I'm helping out on the barbecue. So
nice.
Yeah, gymnastics, then Christmas fair, and otherwise I'll be editing and dissecting every little word that was spoken during this video. and Glenn, I'm going to absolutely tune in to your podcast. It sounds, having now had an interaction with you, very like-minded, I'll be happy. I'm very, very looking forward to tuning in.
Great. I'm very lucky. I get to speak to a lot of really great guests in the business, a lot of industry CEOs. I just recorded an episode with Roger Dow. He's the head of U.S. travel, so he's very in the political scene. So we talk about this 3.9% drop in U.S. travel from overseas, what that really means, what's the real reasons behind it.
Is that the Trump slump?
It's only a portion of it, so you got to tune in when I release that episode to really understand what is going on over there. But more importantly, I do want to say, Eric, your beard game is strong. Another inch or two, and you're going to be giving Wyndham Rewards guy a run for his money. So you might be able to get in there.
I thought you were going to say another inch or two, and I'll be doing the old ho, 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 Merry Christmas thing. But it's the wrong color. So.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, you don't match the Wyndham beard guy either, who's a redhead. But it's pretty impressive. One day, I hope
you guys flirting with each other?
Like I definitely am.
We should find a room.
Yeah. $99 crash pad.
Oh, what a last
37th and 7th.
I know.
It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure, Glenn.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Much appreciate you having me on today. Thanks for letting me play in your sandbox.
All right, guys.
No problem. Anytime. We'll see you next week.
Catch you.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.